Hi, my name is Noah, and the social justice issue that I chose for my final project was abortion. Alright, so what is abortion? Abortion is the termination of a pregnancy by removing the fetus before it is suitable to survive outside of the womb. So, in other words, it's taking the fetus outside of the pregnant woman before it could survive without the mother's help. Anyone can actually get an abortion under any circumstances as long as they have doctor's permission, a physician's permission, or other requirements like that. The costs are anywhere from no dollars at all, so it's free, to $3,000 actually, almost upward $4,000. It's tough for a lot of particular families to afford this, so abortion really feeds in the poor, and it makes it even harder for women to make these choices because it's like picking a life over a price tag. 75% of all abortions last year actually involved families under the federal poverty line, and a lot of these pregnancies happen unplanned, and 45% of all pregnancies attribute to unplanned pregnancies. So when it comes to abortion, there's two sides to it, like most social justice issues. There's pro-choice and there's pro-life. The first one we're going to look at is pro-choice. This is the side that women argue the government is controlling their bodies by deciding whether or not they can get an abortion or not. They believe that since they're the ones bearing the child, they're the ones who has to deal with the paying of the abortion and everything, that they should be the ones to be able to decide if they want to keep the baby or not. Despite whether it is a planned pregnancy or an unplanned pregnancy, they still believe that is their right. Just like people have the right to own weapons, the government sets regulations on that stuff, but they still allow it. So these women are saying, hey, if these people can own things that take away lives, I should be able to decide if I want to keep a life or not. Which brings back to another issue, if the baby is alive or not, but that'll come into conversation later. So furthermore, there's organizations out there that continue to push for the pro-choice movement. One organization in particular is the NARAL, which is the National Associations for the Repeal of Abortion Laws. It's a major pro-choice organization, and what they do is they go out, they stand in front of government buildings, in front of abortion clinics, and they peacefully protest for the right of these women to decide whether or not they want to keep the child or not. All right, so the second side of abortion that we're going to look at now is pro-life. This is the opposite of pro-choice. These women fight for the child's right. They believe that at the stage of the pregnancy where they conduct the abortion, that the child could still survive outside of the womb. So in other words, they fight for the right that these kids deserve a life just like all the other children in the world, whether it's planned or unplanned. So a question that's often raised with these people are, why doesn't that child deserve a chance at life like all of us, like I just said? So like making a mistake or having an unplanned pregnancy doesn't warrant a family to take the life of a child before it can survive outside of the womb. They challenge that if they really don't want to have the kid, that they can put it up for adoption, as you can see in the graphic on the right, which is actually like a really good point. So if they don't want the kid, then there's other ways out of it instead of taking the life. Upwards of 50 million pregnancies every single year are aborted, which is a staggering amount. And then if you look at the other statistic for adoption, 135,000 children per year are adopted. So there are a lot of opportunities out there for children to be adopted, like foster homes and such. So a major fighting point for this side is that just like all children, they deserve a life. So another source that talks on abortion and how us Americans look at it today is a TED Talk by a woman named Aspen Baker. She goes on about how abortion is extremely common, and she advocates to be pro-voice instead of pro-choice or pro-life. A big point that she brings up is that it happens to millions of people. There's millions of children and families going through this, so that we have to just listen respectfully and put ourselves into their shoes. We don't know their financial situation or how they got pregnant or anything like that. So there's a lot of things going on in their own life with their own experiences that we can't really attribute to. So she advocates that we listen to them and hear them out instead of jumping to rash conclusions like killing the baby or having them be able to give birth. Another point that she brings up is battle mentality forms due to this debate. So it's like you're either with abortion or you're against it. There's no in between. And she also talks about how we have the work on shifting this conflict to a conversation. And she mentions two ways to do this. You can do this by listening closely and talk about experiences. So all in all, it's about talking about these things instead of conflicting them, and support these people who are going through abortion. So the first cartoon or graphic that we're going to take a look at advocates for pro-life. As you can see, there's a child in the womb there who's crying with bandages on it, and you see scissors outside of the womb. They're all bloody. And then a little bubble coming out of the baby's mind is saying, who asked my opinion in all this abortion debate? So like I said, pro-life is all about protecting the child's life and advocating that since we all get a chance at life, that they do too, no matter if it's planned or unplanned. We don't know what the child's thinking. We don't know what they can contribute to society. We don't know anything. We're just terminating the pregnancy because somebody doesn't want the child, or it was unplanned, which is unfair. So the next graphic or cartoon we're going to look at advocates for pro-choice, which is like the opposite of pro-life. So as you can see, you got this person with a pro-life sticker on, and then the lady to his left has an abortion sticker on. It looks like they're talking to the media, like some interviewers. And this man's seen saying, good news, more women are choosing to keep their babies. So he's pro-life, which is good. That's for his cause. But then the lady in the back, who's a reporter, is saying, so you are pro-choice. So you can see it kind of conflicts, because he's saying that the women are choosing to keep their babies, which is their choice, but he's advocating for pro-life, so that kind of contradicts. And she's saying, so you are pro-choice. So as you can see, that's a major problem that comes up in this debate, and it's a reason why it needs to be solved.